So after much ado, there has been a drive by my son to finally start making a YouTube series about this topic, because my day job, I'm an over-the-road truck driver, and we've watched a lot of videos, a lot of gun tube type videos, and a lot of people have said some things that I disagree with, not necessarily in total, but in finer details. And so I decided to finally make a 3-part series, and we'll just kind of see where it goes from there, if there's some other projects that you guys might like to see. But one of the main things that I wanted to talk about while we're up here in the beautiful, not so sunny Southern Oregon shop is what we would call your Armageddon rifle, your SHTF rifle, whatever the term you use. And if you ask a lot of new guys, they're going to say, well, you need this, you need that, you need a bunch of stuff that you don't need. If you ask an old timer, like I first worked at a gun store, I might be dating myself, but I first worked at a gun store in about 2005, 2006 timeframe, and I dealt with a lot of the older crowd, and they would tell you, just get what everybody else has. And there's a lot of truth to that. And I think I would like to go over some of those details, because I think we are kind of barking up the wrong tree. Now, I will say in this 3-part series, what we're going to go over is the list of components I chose, why I chose them, and I'm not saying that my opinion is the end all be all. I'm saying this is one more set of thought process on the idea of building this rifle for you guys to take into consideration. Throughout this build, there's a lot of parts that I'm like, hey, I'm going to use this, but I will tell you definitively if there's a cheaper option that I would be perfectly okay with using, because I know some people are on a budget. That's fine. There's some things that we would purchase because of budgetary constraints. There's some things we would purchase because we just felt like it was right. So that's kind of where we're going to start. This first video is basically just going to be the theory, the part selection. The second video, we're actually going to build the gun and talk about the setup of it. And the third video, we'll go out and beat on it a little bit if we get some good weather, if it ever doesn't stop raining. So anyways, let's go ahead and get kicked off. Now, I know the first question I need to answer for all of you guys is, why should I listen to this old fat guy? You know, you don't have to listen to me. I'm just offering one more little bit of thought process on the matter. So aside from driving a truck for a living, I have been in the Army almost 18 years now. And I did my first 7 years of active duty during GWAT, Iraq in 08, Afghanistan in 12. Pretty decent amount of action, lots of gunfights, some civilian mishaps afterwards, but you know, overall, it's essentially, if I tell this to you, it's because honestly, from the bottom of my heart, it's what I would do. And like I said, I'm not saying that I'm the end-all be-all opinion. You know, I've been shooting since I was 5. Shot my first small bore competition when I was, 9 or 10 years old. Started off on Garands and things like that. I've just been kind of tinkering around and shooting ever since. And a lot of the guys at now my reserve unit, they have me build a lot of their rifles. And so they ask me a lot of these same questions. And I would really like to share a lot of that knowledge with you guys. So let's start off with a little bit of theory. First off, with your Armageddon rifle, your SHTF rifle, whatever you want to call it, there's 3 factors that I'm looking for if I'm going to build said rifle for somebody. Okay, I'm looking for reliability, I'm looking for durability, and I'm looking for survivability. Now, I know you're going to say, hey, Phil, there's there's no accuracy, there's no ergonomics on that list. You're right. Because those things all come second, in my opinion, to those first three. So to break that down a little bit further, reliability, you can summate it as when I charge the weapon and when I squeeze off that trigger, does the gun go bang? Okay. If the answer is yes, and the answer is yes is most every time, that's reliable. Durability is how long that weapon will continue to go bang. And survivability is when something breaks, because it will. No, you cannot make an unbreakable weapon. When something breaks, how quickly is it going to be repaired and back in running order? And that causes a lot of impact on what we're going to choose and why. So if I seem a little bit scatterbrained, I don't prompt any of this. I don't have any notes, anything. This is all up here. So let me get this cleaned off real quick, and we are going to start with a components list. And like I said, I will definitely inform you if there is something that that we could go cheaper on, but still reliable. Okay, when you're going to choose this rifle, the first thing you need to decide is barrel length and gas system. And of course, obviously we're talking about the AR-15 system. Okay, barrel length and gas system has to be the first choice. I think it's been well established that a 14.5 to 16-inch barrel is about the best middle ground that you can get. I think it's also been established that despite mid-length gas systems being softer recoiling, having a lot of inherent benefits, we're going to choose a carbine gas system, and I'll go over that in a little bit. And I'll tell you why here shortly. So first thing we're going to look at is the barrel. Let's see here. That's 1911 parts. Okay. The barrel. This is the barrel we chose. This barrel is an H-bar contour. It's a 16-inch. It's carbine gassed. It is cold hammer forged, chrome lined, and this is actually from Double Star USA. Probably a company that not a lot of you guys, especially the younger crowd, has heard of. But back when I built my first few ARs, before I even joined the Army, Double Star was it. That's where it was at. And I can tell you by personal experience from then and from now, the most recent parts that we've purchased from them, their quality control has always been one of the best. So this is not a ploy for Double Star. I bought everything that I have. I mean, you get like a little military discount that helps out, but overall, even with cost not being a factor, just because of the quality control that they offer, that was my choice for barrel. So like I said, we have a cold hammer forged, chrome lined, 1-in-7 twist, 16-inch H-bar. Already checked the headspace with a deadbolt and a couple of different mil spec ammo, and it's perfect in every way, shape, and form. Gas port was properly aligned, indexed off the index pin, and it has a recessed target crown. Yes, these barrels are built by FN, I think, but amazing price in my opinion compared to the actual FN barrel, but $269 and on Double Star's website for a bomb-proof barrel. Now, how does this appeal to our three, shall we say, rules that we're going to go by? Is it reliable? Well, headspace is good. It's chrome lined, it's cold hammer forged. I would definitely say it's going to be a good, solid, reliable barrel. And if there's some black stuff on my fingers, sorry, I was resealing the chimney earlier. But anyways, is it durable? I think so. Cold hammer forged chrome lined barrels, barrel life is regularly seen in excess of 15,000 rounds. And is it survivable? Well, standard barrel extension, no crazy, quick fit system. Not that I mind those, but yep, it's good. This is going to fit in any mil-spec AR-15 upper receiver, and yeah, I think we're definitely going to like that. I think it's going to be a good solid barrel. Oh, by the way, also, just like the FN style, it comes with a reverse target crown, so should be pretty accurate. Of course, we're not looking for great accuracy. Now, let's see here. Yeah. All right, I'll go over a couple different things here. Bolt carrier. We happen to have a double ejector Centurion sand cutter that we're going to be using. Kind of crazy on price, so I would, it's reliable. Monty makes, in my opinion, the best bolt carriers money can buy. But if that's something that's not affordable, any mil-spec bolt carrier that gauges out, this one is a Toolcraft. It's gray DLC coated. I would prefer hard chrome, but if this is what you got, the only thing I would look into is, you definitely want something with a Carpenter 158 bolt and properly staked carrier key bolts. Make sure everything aligns right. Make sure it's got good gas ring seal, okay? Make sure it's got a good chrome firing pin. But essentially something like this, which was I think around $120 on sale from Spice Tack, if I remember correctly, will work fine. The other thing you can do is if you do find a bolt carrier that you like, but the bolt is iffy or the rifle has seeming headspace issues, just go get you a regular Colt mil-spec bolt, install the cryogenically treated ejector and extractor springs, and swap them out. Keep your same carrier. As long as you got good ring races and good bolt carrier support shoulders, it's going to be fine. That just happens to be the one that we're using. Hard chrome tends to have an extremely long finish. The double ejector is just a little extra oomph. Now, going back to, we were going to talk about gas system. Going back to, why did we choose the carbine linked gas system? Well, if this is a quote-unquote Armageddon rifle, if this is a quote-unquote end of the world, zombie apocalypse, whatever you want to call it, the carbine linked gas system is still the most common out there. Like I said, mid-length is nice. When it comes to the third aspect, survivability, if you have a carbine linked gas system and you blow a gas tube or you have some sort of gas tube issue and you need one quick, fast, in a hurry, even though you hear inklings of all the M7s coming out, which I knew those were going to fail, but that's just my opinion. The majority of the Army is still using a carbine length 14.5-inch barreled M4 M4A1 system. So if it comes to getting parts, replacement parts, that carbine gas tube is going to be the easiest to replace in the entire United States of America, and probably even worldwide, depending on other countries that use AR platforms, right? Regular Army, 14.5, that one's got the pin and welded Surefire, but 14.5 carbine length gas system. Now, why did we choose the heavy barrel and the chrome bolt? Well, in the situation that you're in, okay, when it comes to reliability, durability, okay, a lot of people would say, well, you could go with the lightweight barrel, you can go with a little bit slicker bolt carrier. These components are going to hold up to an insane firing schedule and a lot of heat. So that H-bar, all this meat right here, that's going to hold up to a lot of heat. That hard chrome bolt carrier is going to hold up to a lot of heat. Extended firefight. People would say, well, I'm just a civilian. I'm not going to be in an extended firefight. I just need my rifle long enough to put a few rounds downrange, cut and run. Well, that's not what we're talking about, because the simple fact of the matter is that depending on the entirety of the situation, there's a very good chance if you decide I'm going to cut and run, you're just going to run long enough to be expelled tired. Okay, so we have to build a weapon that is, we suspect, we can almost guess, we are going to be in the possible realm of extended firefights, all types of weather, all types of circumstances, unknown ranges, which is why I chose to go with the 16, just to be able to leg it out. There's no reason why a 16-inch barrel can't still make accurate engagements with the right optic out to the range of 600-800 meters with the right ammunition. So we definitely went with the heaviest barrel we could carry, which I felt was the H-bar, and we went with the hard chromed bolt carrier because we don't know what the firing schedule is going to be. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about the gas system of this rifle, which is going to be, if I could find it, there we go. There's that mid-length, that's carbine. That one's also carbine. Okay, a couple of them. Anyways, so found a stainless steel Hodge gas block on sale, Primary Arms special. Love Primary Arms. And this one is set screw and is pre-cut for the cross pin, which we will be cross pinning this gas block to this barrel. Okay, it's a well-known product, it's dependable, and I think the gas block was on sale for $46 or something like that. So it's 4140 steel. It is nitrided. It's pre-drilled for a pin. Everything you can want in a gas block for $46. Gas tube, I pretty much exclusively use Lantac gas tubes. Stainless steel, nitrided black. Not only does it look cool, but also reduces heat or resists heat a little bit better, and also keeps that nasty under handguard glare from happening. Plus, Lantac, I don't know what it is about their quality control, but every single gas tube I've ever got from them has been absolutely perfect. Spend the extra $5, about $20, $22, Primary Arms, Lantac nitrided gas tube in the carbine length. Next, I think we are going to go with upper receiver. Any mil-spec upper receiver will work. This happens to be an LMT because once we're done with this build, we actually have an LMT lower that we're going to be doing some swapping. But, you know, any well-known high-quality upper receiver, whether it be Sons of Liberty, whether it be Psionics, whether it be Colt, whether it be LMT, FN, Daniel Defense, Geisel, any well-known company that produces 7075 T6 upper receivers that have the dry film coating on the inside, it'll do the job. Okay. Flat top, of course, for optics flexibility. And charging handle, definitely go with an oversized charging handle. I think we got a couple choices, but since it's a LMT upper, let's go with the LMT charging handle. Okay, just so it all matches. Nice large ambi latches. However, if I was intending on running this suppressed full time, which I may or may not, but if I was intending on running this suppressed full time, I think I like the Badger Gen 3 charging handle. It's just a little bit better for gas deflection, but we'll try both and find out. The LMT Knights Armament charging handles, I think I have a Knights one around here somewhere. Both work extremely well, especially with these extended latches. If you're going to run an LPVO or something, you can really get in there and just rip away at it. It doesn't give you any issues. And like I said, charging handle is something that you can get a little bit less expensive. A couple of other less expensive options would be like a Break Warhammer is pretty good. Now, when it comes to the rail, we are going to use, I think we're going to go with the CAC free float. Okay. Now, you don't need to get something this expensive. I'll tell you that right now. You do not need a CAC free float. We just had a spare one, so we're going to go ahead and use it. But for that price, to be honest with you, I would feel just as confident using, oh heck, I got this as part of a parts buy, used parts, by the way, and do not be afraid of finding used parts as long as they're in good condition. But there's a Midwest Industries quad rail, 50 bucks, okay, used parts, check Tax Swap or places like that. You can find some great deals from some really good people, but something like that will do you just fine for the rail handguard. Now, why immediately, I know some of you are cringing, why Picatinny, you old man? Well, because pretty much every accessory I'm going to come across is going to be pick railed interfaced, okay? Now, you may have occasional, like somebody has their light set up on an M-lock or something like that. You need to transition it over to your weapon under worst case scenario. Yes, M-lock is becoming more popular, and this is the one portion I would definitely say it's a gimme, okay? If you choose to go M-lock versus pick rail, in my opinion, times are changing so fast, I don't think that it's necessarily going to make a huge difference. And just with the sheer, let's say you got to pick up parts on the side of the road, wink, wink, because it's Armageddon. There is such a huge availability of M-lock accessories in civilian hands and even in some military hands across the country. This is the one that can lean either way. It's most of the accessories that are still in military circulation and a lot of older civilian market accessories that are in circulation are going to be pick rail interfaced. Plus, I like having less junk to put on. So, you know, I don't want to have an M-lock rail where I have to bolt an M-lock adapter that's a pick rail and then put something else on. That's just more parts to lose. And we're talking about SHTF. You're constantly on the move. That's just more stuff to lose. So we're going to keep it basic. Go with the CAC free float rail. But something like that Midwest Industries be absolutely fine. Get online, get on some forums, see who wants to do some wheeling and dealing and trading if you're on a budget. Circling back to the barrel, it's going to be hard. You're going to be hard pressed to find a better price on the barrel. If you ask my personal opinion, hey, 260 is a little bit on the high end. Could I go with something maybe a little bit less, like 200? I would say Sons of Liberty Gunworks combat barrel or fighting barrel, whichever one they offer, chrome lined. Mid-gas barrels, we lean into the mid-gas thing, but that would be a decent secondary choice. I just happen to really like these ones. So it looks like we have most of the upper receiver put together. And this is all stuff that I would absolutely trust with my life, by the way. Sights, we're gonna go... that's the older one. Let's go with we're going to go with CAC, M4 front, micro, 600 rear. Is it necessary? No. And I told you guys I would give you better options if you get a chance. Okay, solid metal. You need a good pair of backup sights. I have put these on 2 or 3 guns. GunTech USA RAPS, Rapid Acquisition Precision Sights. Okay, all metal construction, pretty good quality. They hold adjustment like crazy. You can find these on sale, 99 bucks a pair. I think I actually like them even a hair better than Embus Pros. So if you're looking for a less expensive option, yes, I would definitely say go backup sights. People are going to say, well, I'm going to piggyback a Trigicon MRO or whatever the little micro optics are on top of an LPBO. I still like having something metal. So if you don't want to spend $400 on a set of sights, which I don't, then Gun Tech USA is a very, very good choice to look at. Muzzle device, again, you can go, you know, find some good deals. Heck, I found a used VG6 Epsilon for, I don't know, 20 bucks or something at like a swap meet. This build, we happen to go Reardon R2S because this gun is going to be running an AAC Ranger Mini. So that's going to be that. Both super dependable, to be quite honest with you. If it's a funding thing, get an A2 flash hider. They're $7-8, crush washer install, super easy. They still work, okay? They do a very, very good job at reducing flash. They got the closed bottom so you don't give away your position under prone firing. It's, till this day, I'm telling you, and even if you look at the Reardons and the way that the slots are built, till this day, okay, an A2 flash hider is still one of the best ones. People can fight me on that. I don't care. Lower. Okay, lower. A lot of people say a lower is a lower, right? Okay. Find one that's on sale as long as it's a good mil-spec one. FN15, I think this is the M4 collector one, whatever. It was like on some super sale, 120 bucks. If this is your SHTF rifle, don't buy a $50 lower, okay? And I don't say that because cost isn't, you know, one lower is so much better than the other. I'm saying get one that you know, that's reputable, that you know is gonna spec out right, okay? That's the biggest thing, is if we have something go bad in this lower, okay, we want to know that any parts that we have to yoink out of somebody else's gun and put in there are going to fit with no filing, with no fitting issues, okay? And companies like FN, LMT lowers, okay, they're gonna do the job and everything's gonna fit. Now, if you're asking me personally, which I've built a lot of on, and actually I think my Mark 12 is still built on that. Yeah, it is. My Mark 12 is still built on one, and we have a 308 being built on one. But the best quality lowers for the price, still till this day, and you can age me, you can laugh at me, but I'm telling you, for the price is still Armalite. Armalite M15 lowers go through so many different QC steps, and you could see, buy yourself, next time they're on sale, buy yourself an Armalite M15 lower, and you'll find that they have inspector stamps at almost every portion of that lower for every set of measurements that they've checked and double checked and triple checked. And I've probably built a half dozen Armalite lowers. I have never, ever, ever had a lower that price. They're about $100. Sometimes they go on sale for as low as 60 if you keep an eye out. Never have I seen lowers that price where every single one was just absolutely perfect. Even the ones that we've had pin gauged out, all the trigger pin holes, the magazine wells, everything that we've actually had a chance to have one of the other armorers take a look at and use all their gauges on, they are absolutely perfect in every way. Okay. Also, lower parts kit is a lower parts kit and isn't a lower parts kit. Get a reputable brand lower parts kit. Okay, if you can't afford more than the GI parts, that's okay. That's perfect. You know why? Because GI parts work. Again, double star, top of the line quality control. You can see every detent in there is coated. Every pin in there, every spring is the proper colored intention spring. I could just looking through the package, I could tell. Their quality control on that lower parts kit is up to snuff in every way, shape, and form. Buffer tube to A5 or not to A5. Don't A5 it, okay? I love Voltor, I love soft recoiling rifles, but don't A5 it, because if you need a buffer spring, nobody in the, and this is Armageddon, nobody in the world out there is going to have a spare rifle buffer spring laying around. Promise you. Well, I don't promise you, but let's guess, okay? carbine buffer springs. I probably have a half dozen or a dozen. I only got one rifle spring. You want it, just email me. But carbine, all carbine rifle springs. Recoil springs. So make sure that you get a buffer tube, carbine length, 6 position, preferably. Drain holes preferable. Dry lubed on the inside. Just look for a good quality one. This one I think is LMT also, but a good choice also that I've had really good luck with is the Expo Arms line from Primary Arms. Those tend to be dry lubed. Those tend to be within specification. They tend to be really decent quality product, and they're dirt cheap. Okay. End plate. I like the old Voltor end plates, or any of the end plates that have a loop on it instead of a QD socket. This is a survivability measure. Now people ask me, well, why? Why do I need that? Nobody uses HK loops anymore. Well, no, but when all else fails, if you need a way to secure your rifle, 550 cord ties really well to this. Or if you need a way to hang your rifle at night to keep it up off the ground or anything like that, a 550 cord loop tied off to that, nail hanging out of the side of a tree, good way to hang your rifle and keep it out of the mud when you're in a rainy environment like this. So that's probably the way I'd go. One of the end plates with the HK loop for that purpose. And what are we missing? Stake your castle nuts properly, please. Buffer, I think we're gonna go. Yep, there's a buffer we could steal. H or H2, preferably on a carbine length system. Double check, make sure you have the good Delrin tip, not one of those cheap, squishy. These buffers are all Colts, so I know that they're good to go. And buttstock, I think we are going to go with the new dual tensions we've been trying out. The DTPR, amazing little buttstock. I got big old long monkey arms, so I add the 070 spacer in the back, and that helps out big time. But as you can see from what's on the table, this is a very, very basic rifle in every way, shape, and form of the way. Now, it's reliable. We know this. It's durable. Everything on this table is meant to be abused. And those are some of the things that you're going to look at. And it's survivable because there is very few parts, okay? Actually, almost no parts, aside from obviously the rail, the barrel nuts are going to be different, but that I can't take off this rifle and put on this rifle, okay? Take the trigger out, take everything else out, and everything on there, right? Your standard GI guy that you find walking down the road or not walking anymore, that is no longer going to need this rifle, and you need parts because it's Armageddon. Everything off this rifle is going to fit on here, and it's going to work. So that old man adage of just get what everybody else has, in a way, still makes a lot of sense. Also, not that it makes a huge difference, but aside from being in the Army for 18 years and having been through a ton of shooting even prior to the Army and prior to the 300 or so combat missions I went through, I was division level certified when I was at Fort Stewart for an armorer. So I've built a ton of these things, fixed a ton of these things. And I'm telling you from my experience, I would trust everything on here. Now, Phil, what basic accessories do I need? Well, go with what your pocketbook can afford, but there's a couple key things I look for. Don't be afraid to get used stuff. Got a used Streamlight TLR VIR, visible infrared. Got the tape switch already and everything for it. And that was like $160, tax swap score. So actually, you know what? We'll put that on that rifle as well. I need a a red dot of some type. Make sure that your red dot's IPX7 rated. Make sure that it's got good quality glass, and make sure that it's night vision compatible. You may not have night vision, but you never know when you're going to find some along the way. So preferably get something that's night vision compatible. This little US Optics with the 0 Delta mount, okay, found that at a pawn shop in Montana while I was on the road, 70 bucks, okay? So you can get set up pretty nice. A new setup, I think that we're going to try on this one for the price, because there's been so many sales, is we got Romeo 5 Gen 2 Elite and Juliet Micro 5X to back it up. I really like the idea of a red dot and a mag, especially a mag that's flip to side mag. I wish one of these days I got to get me a flip to side G33 or whatever the newer series is, the magnifier for the EOTech. I think a magnified red dot in a SHTF rifle is about as good as you can go, okay? It seems to be the most flexible. It does add a little bit of weight. I would say my second choice probably be get yourself a little LPVO, something we could also do right here. A little loophole, Mark III HD. This one's dusted, we gotta put it on something. 1.5 to 4 power, okay? It's got the AR ballistic reticle in it with the bullet drop. So something like that, you probably don't need to go over 4 or maybe 6 power. Another good option would be the Burris 1 to 6. And as a matter of fact, Burris has the, I don't know if they still sell it, but it's got the one with the little pepper mount that, you know, you can have your Burris fast fire on top of the LPVO. That would be a good setup also. But just think about those 3 things, okay, when you're actually going to build this rifle. Think about, is it going to be reliable? Is it going to be durable? And is it going to be survivable? Okay. Now, like I said, we all love mid-length gas systems, lighter weight barrels, cool rails, this, that, and the other. This is not going to be the lightest package. Okay. Once this is all done, this is not going to be the lightest package in the world. It's definitely not going to be the most comfortable to carry. Okay. The one thing that it will be is it's going to be rugged as all get out. It's going to be reliable. It's going to be durable. And it's going to be survivable because of the parts interchangeability of regular Joe GI carrying his Block 2 rifle, and you got to yoink something off of there to put it on here. So again, just my opinion, just food for thought. But the reality of it is, if this thing turns out to be pie plate accurate at 300 meters, that's good enough for me. Okay. And don't get me wrong, I love 74s, but in the United States, if we're talking about the one gun that you're going to keep in the closet for Armageddon, as great as they are, don't make it an AK platform. It's just, there's just not enough of them lying around. So anyway, I hope this helps. I hope you guys follow on and watch the second video, and we'll go through setup and why we put things where we put them. But just a couple key points, you know, to keep in mind. Reliable, durable, survivable. If you're going to build your SHTF rifle. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Like I said, this is the first video I've made. I probably am rambling on, but it's been something that's been bugging me for a while, and a lot of people get a lot of things wrong, and information wise, and I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm not the end all be all. I'm not the number one opinion to follow, but this is just one little thing to keep in mind as you move on to build this rifle, and let me know how yours turns out.